Hello everyone and welcome to Dev Talk for the newest released goddess into our pool. My name is Hydras Drybear and I'm joined by Hydras Scott, our lead designer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Doing really good. So as you can see by the background behind us, we have some reveals to show you today. We have already seen the cat, the wonderful cat Suku. Is that, are we calling it
Suku?
Suku?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Suku. She's hanging out right over there next to Scott. And so this is going to be a Mayan goddess being added to the game. And I think this is really exciting because it's something that we haven't really done before, right? I mean, what is your emotional level on this?
Yeah, I'm really excited. There's a lot of new things we're putting in this kit that we haven't done before.
Right.
I'm really excited to see how it's going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and hop into that into a minute. But I think one thing that's always good is just what is the basic, very simple overview of what embodies this goddess? What is her kind of background?
Sure. Well, she's the Mayan goddess of the moon, and she's really identified by two different aspects. One of them is the eagle, which sort of identifies her lunar aspect, and the other is the jaguar,
Right.
which is sort of the night aspect because the moon's out at night. And those are two elements that you'll see as we get into looking at the kit.
Right. So I mean, you can see, of course, Suku the cat over there is going to be that jaguar aspect, but obviously we haven't really tied that to her very well. So everyone's always wondering, is it a pet? Is it, what does cat really mean to her? And being the Mayan goddess of the moon, it means that she has more kind of nighttime aspects. But overall, I mean, she's a very light and fun character. She's definitely very soft and very gentle, and she likes to kind of take care of the night forest that she has. So we'll see how that kind of brings into. But I think the first thing we could do is kind of just bring up the cat up on screen and show how the model turned out, right? And so the way it looks and the way it kind of spun around. So we had that kind of 360. So this is the cat Suku. And so anything you want to comment on here?
No, just the art team did a fantastic job. I mean, it looks great.
Yeah, you see that little sheen that goes on the side, and like it's got that mean mug, but it's almost lovable, right? It's kind of like a pit bull. It just looks mean, but you just want to hug it, and that's just what Suku is. You see the feathers coming down, and that's a lot of it too. I mean, having that eagle aspect, there's some feathers that kind of fall off there, and it's very light. They're both very light on their feet and the way they move, and it seems like they're definitely very kind of bouncy. So the next thing to bring up is Awilix herself, right? And so so far they've only seen the top half. But let's bring the full model here, the T-pose, and show what she looks like as a model. And there she is. So, I mean, look at that. That's just gorgeous. Wow. And so you can see that the rope's tying down there, the Mayan aspect. She has that headdress there. That's not, it's not imposing. And so she's definitely very much, I'm part of the jungle. I'm part of the night. I'm part of the lunar aspects. And I'm deep there myself. And so she's kind of like embracing that wild nature. But you can see that her face, she's very soft in her features and the way she represents herself.
There's a lot of elements that kind of tie her into the Mayan pantheon. But one nice thing to point out too is that she's one of our first characters that runs around barefoot.
Yeah, she is.
Actually runs barefoot.
Yeah, so Nuwa is the other barefoot goddess that we have. As most goddesses have shoes of some kind, but Nuwa floats, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, that's right.
Plus, it sometimes turns into a snake in the bottom, so I don't know what's going on with that. So yeah, I mean, she's barefoot. She runs around into the jungle, and she gets ready to go. So I think the best thing that we could do now is kind of just get ready. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare this up here as we get ready to show her off in game. So I think the first thing we should do before we show her off is really just talk about her role. So, Scott, what is her role?
She is an assassin. An
She is an
assassin that belongs in the jungle.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's very fitting, right? The way she's presented, she's got a cat, she knows what's up, and so definitely a very fitting for her. So I'll go to hop in game, and we'll show off what her is. So, as you know, she's got some kind of action element into it, as we like to fit with our gods and goddesses. And of course, she's got the passive. So I think the best thing that we can start with here is kind of how she attacks first, right? So she has a very different style of attack. Do you care to comment on that?
Yeah. There's some interesting things. Once we look at the in-game here, I think one of the things people notice right away once you unlock abilities is that there's one that is a little bit different, right, to start with.
What's that?
Yeah. Her second ability there, you'll notice that it starts where you can't use it.
I'm pressing 2.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening.
We've done abilities before where you bring up a target and you have to have a valid target to be able to fire it.
Right.
And usually that's to the benefit of the player because you can't miss. This is one of the first abilities we've done that has a condition on being able to activate it. And this is kind of something new for us, and we're kind of excited to see how it does. Now, this condition is a pretty easy one to achieve, but it's an important note about the way she fights.
So first off, I mean, it is based on her auto attack chain, right?
That's right.
So, and she is a little bit different. She has a spear, which is a little bit longer than most things we have. So, is there anything different about her, the way she actually basic attacks?
Yeah, so her basic attack has a slightly longer range than most basic attacks and a slightly narrower cone. It's enough to be substantial when you're reaching out and chasing someone or hitting someone, but not so much that it's going to be uncomfortable or difficult to use, I think. But that's a very important note. We're really tying to her abilities and her basic attacks more than we've done on other characters before.
Sure, as you can see that it really it sticks out pretty far, and it's a little bit more narrow, so you can't really hit him the same way you could. But you can see that when I strike Odin here, my 2 becomes active, and as I keep hitting, it changes this little aura around here. Anything you want to comment on that?
Sure. Well, I mean, I can just explain it.
Okay. Well, how does it work, Scott?
So the way the 2 works is you have to have hit a target within the last 1.5 seconds to activate it. And essentially what it allows you to do is to reposition over that target and deal damage to him. But if you haven't hit anyone, either with abilities or basic attacks in the last 1.5 seconds, you can't use it.
Right, so it is contingent on hitting someone. And so, with that, all you have to do is hit that again. You'll be able to flip over them. You'll land behind the target. And now you are set up for some kind of, backstab style play. You're able to, you can see that you can actually hit it. And within that range, you can actually use it again to get it. And it does quite a lot of damage.
It does.
Now, this actually scales based on what hit you are in the chain.
That's right, and this is really new for us. Essentially, the damage is increased if you're on the second or third hit of your hit chain. So to do the most damage, you have to do 2 basic attack hits before you execute the flip.
Which is that target on the ground, right?
That's right. So if you are at the third hit in your sequence, then it actually deals the damage in an AoE around the target, which is why you see the circle up here. If you did it on your first hit, it wouldn't do an AoE. It would just deal damage to the Odin.
Let's see if we can't get another Odin here. Spawn that up. So we'll hit this one. And I killed that one.
Yep.
So it really depends. I mean, obviously, you really have to set up the fight right. So you can't just hop in and hit 2, attack once and hit 2. You really have to kind of be part of it. You have to prepare yourself ahead of time. So there's inclinations towards attack speed, possibly getting enough hits off before you can do the AoE. And it also does more damage just to the main target if you have more hits on them. And so
that's right.
Making sure you're counting those hits, making sure you're hitting on the right chain. You can see my passive little meter there is filling up as well. You actually do if I do it just by itself, if I take the cooldowns off. There's the 3, the third shot. But if I take it like this, there's no damage to the side. But if I hit 2, of course, she should kill 1 or 2 of them. And that's just the 2. I mean, you can see there's a lot of elements that really help her, right? So she's able to get behind the target. She is able to reposition herself. And one thing that's very, very cool, which I love, she is actually untargetable while she's flipping.
That's right. It's considered sort of like a leap and a tween, so that for that brief time that you're moving over the target, you can't be hit. So there's certainly evasive qualities to being able to time it at certain moments.
Which is just fantastic. Get some energy here. So the next thing we can talk about is her 1. So that is a paw there, which could mean a lot of things. And of course, you would imagine this would involve the cat some way. And so the way that we decided to kind of bring Awilix into the game, right, is just something more mobile. And how did you accomplish that?
Well, so the way we introduced it, is we were looking at her lore and the fact that she was closely associated with the Jaguar, is we wanted to bring it in as a companion and as really a true mount, which we haven't also really done in SMITE before. I mean, we have characters that are sort of on mounts, like Sylvanas. But to really bring it in as something that you could ride around freely is something that is a little bit new and something that we really wanted to do. So, yeah, you'll see here that she can summon and ride around, and this is not just a limited time ability. She can actually stay on him as long as she wants to.
She can jump.
She can jump.
So can the cat Suku. So she has a full mount. So she just summons her cat Suku, as that bond is very strong. And from anywhere, Suku will come to her aid, and she's able to move around. But one thing you'll note, if I try to turn here, it's very slow. I mean, my strafing is incredibly slow.
That's right. So you have increased forward ground speed, but a dramatically decreased strafing speed.
Right. Which, of course, leads into a lot of implications. First off, Bacchus can force you to strafe by getting you drunk.
That's right. Getting drunk is not something that's fun while you're on Suku.
Who knew riding bareback on a Jaguar is not good when you're intoxicated?
That's right. Don't drink and ride.
Okay.
It's
Now, one thing to note as well is I now have this force targeter here, and so while I'm riding Suku, I have this target that's always in front of me, which I think just based on the targeter itself, the reticle, and the fact that you're on a cat, it's pretty obvious what it does. You jump.
That's right.
Jump and deal damage at the target location. Which
So,
is, yeah, go ahead.
you know, one important thing to note about that actually, and this kind of goes into us making it feel like a true mount, is that the cooldown is only burned on the ability if you leap. If you dismount just by right-clicking, you actually don't trigger the cooldown. Now, you do consume mana when you get on the cat, so if you get on and off a lot, you're going to burn your mana. But it gives you a way going into combat. If you want to save that leap or save basically an escape, you can dismount.
Right, so that cooldown will not be consumed if you get off the cat, but if you use the ability to jump, you will, although you will still incur the mana.
That's correct.
So you obviously, if you initiate with the cat, it means you don't have that jump to get out with. And
That's
so
right.
if you do something alternatively, if you run in with the cat, dismount and attack, right? Now all of a sudden you have this new ability to jump out or get on the cat and run away if you need to. But this also means that if you're hopping on the cat, you're very good at chasing down enemy players that are relying on their run speed, right? So like a Muzan Cobb or Kuga Khan or Zeus that are you have that movement speed increase, but that's it, and she'll just chase you down and jump on you.
Yeah, you know, Awilix has pretty much the best base movement speed of anyone in the game while she's on the mount.
Right.
Which means she's going to be very strong repositioning in the jungle. Now, there's a little bit of a downside to the cat in the sense that, you know, if you're in a situation where you need to leap out really fast, there is a time to get on. And you'll find that time is one of the drawbacks really to it when you're trying to get a fast escape.
Right. Maybe jumping on there and actually taking a little bit of movement speed loss, but then you hop on. I mean, this is just basic boots. I mean, you can move very, very quickly with this. Allows you to kind of, and the jump is very far as well. I mean, you're able to jump over it. So she's highly mobile. Although, you know, she's based on her auto attack. She's very close, and she's very squishy as an assassin is. So she has to kind of do some checks and balances there. So let's go ahead and hop to her ultimate. And so obviously you see that little moon there on the icon at the bottom. And so let's just go ahead and pop it and see what it does. You see that she pops. She's got a little timer at the bottom. Now this is actually a bit of a steroid.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, she's got some attack speed and some extra power if you just use it this way.
So there it is, and as Scott has alluded to, there's another piece to this,
A
which
pretty
is a lot
big
of
piece.
fun. And so what this does, and just to kind of explain it quickly, is that this will actually pull anyone who is knocked up or jumping to her.
That's right. This is a game-changing ability in
Very
many
much
ways.
so.
Yes.
Now talk a little about the evolution of this, because this is not a new idea for this.
Now, you know, we've wanted to be able to affect gods and leaps really as far back as when we did Tyr. You know, when we did Tyr's power cleave, one of the original things we thought about it was that not only does it affect people that are knocked up, but if there was an enemy god leaping towards him, he might be able to knock him away. Now, there was a lot of tech problems with that, and unfortunately, just due to how much work had to be done to implement it, we ended up not going that direction with Tyr. But we've kind of had it on our minds for a long time, and we've always wanted to, you know, make a very strong counter pick god against the leapers. And so that's a little bit what kind of went into, you know, the inspiration behind Awilix's design.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. I mean, I think this is something that is really exciting, right? Because there are a lot of characters in the game who have jumps. There's a lot of characters in the game who have knockups. And I think this is something that just goes against all that and introduces this new mechanic that'll change the way it possibly is played and makes her valuable for a different reason you may look at other assassins.
That's right. You know, and leaps are generally more powerful than dashes. You know, leaps can go over walls. You're not hit from leaps. And so having a good counter against leaps is something that we wanted to bring in. And it's interesting, actually. This has been in development for a while. If you remember in the, I think, the Ao Kuang patch, we reclassified in the tooltips all movement abilities as leaps, dashes, or teleports.
That's right.
And that was really because we were putting the back end to support being able to do this, to build effect gods and leaps. So it shows you a little bit how we're kind of building up towards essentially this GOTS release.
Right, it really shows how much planning and time goes into creating a character. Right, it's not okay, Ao Kuang's done, let's start Awilix. It's way before that. We're prepping and designing and concepting and really putting in mechanics that make the character different. So the one issue that I'm seeing with this is I can pop this, but no one's in the air. And so it feels like, there needs to be another piece here. So let's go ahead and go into the third ability. So this is an ability that, obviously she has the cat. She has this connection to the jaguars in the forest and the night and the moon. And so this is just a simple line nuke. It shoots a spectral jaguar forward, and this will deal damage to everyone it hits in front of it. So it's a good damage that increases it. But there's a piece here that we're missing. What's the piece, Scott?
Right. The piece is if it hits a target from behind, it will knock them up in the air.
Look at that.
That's right.
Throw the cat out, it'll deal damage. I can hit multiple targets as well. But if you are behind the target, which your 2 allows you to do so, it'll knock him up into the air. And you can see that little targeter that, as he floats, he has this little moon goddess targeter as he floats up. And that just lets me know that that target is in range for my ultimate and allows me to pull them, right? So
That's
as
right.
they respawn, let's go ahead and see what that looks like.
You know, the ultimate will only pull one target, so it's important that we have that indicator there so you know who it is. And there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Start stacking them up. There it is. And so he just brings it in, and it really has a lot of implications, right? You look at someone like Neith. She backflips away, you can grab her, bring her right back. If you have Bacchus on your team, you can jump in, belly flop them up, pull them right in.
Bacchus is insanely fun because he telegraphs his knockup so well. You see him in the air coming down for the belly flop. You know you're ready to pull someone. It's pretty crazy.
It's just amazing. This is such a fun mechanic, right? Because there's so many implications here, and this is something that I'm really excited to see what our players do with it and what they can discover and that kind of thing, because this is something that's just really awesome. And so obviously there's a lot of things you can do with this. Since the ultimate gives you a power bonus, and your 2 does a lot of damage when you scale it up, a lot of times it may be easier to kind of knock them out, pull them forward, hit them twice, and then flip over, get a kill. And then alternatively, you could lead with the 2, right? You hit twice, go behind them, and then you knock them up. And so there's a lot of ways you can kind of combo into that knockup for the ultimate. And then if you're in danger, of course, you got your trusty cat. And so, I mean, overall, it's a very simple but very elegant design, I think. Like I was saying on Twitter the other day, it's one of my favorites in a while. It just seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. So what we can do is we can go ahead and hop up to our screens, and we can go ahead and do a little Q&A with chat and see what they think about the character, if they have any specific questions. Right away, we should probably help classify for our theory crafters in the audience. If you're teleporting, you cannot be pulled. If you are transporting, you cannot be pulled. There are certain things like, Giannis portals, Freya banishes, cannot be pulled out of that. Ram going up and down in the air, Thor going up and down
Anyone
in the air.
who's CC immune when they leap, if it's like an ultimate leap, they can't be pulled because they're CC immune.
Right. Yep.
It's also worth saying that during the pull, you can beats out of that.
Sure.
So you do have, I believe it's 0.8 seconds to basically prevent you from going all the way back.
Well, let's go ahead and bring up the God card. You saw part of it earlier, but just see how she looks overall. There it is. Scott just became Awilix for a second. And so you just look at her hanging out. And there's Suko. And this is just, I mean, you can see that it's something, I think when people saw the cat, right, they're like, oh, let's have a match of the day where it's Bastet versus Awilix, right? Just cats on cats. It's like, that's not what's happening here. This is very much different. So let's go ahead and look into chat, see if there's any questions specifically. Can you jump through a wall with your 1?
Can you jump through a wall with your 1? Yes, you can.
There you go. Can Thanatos be pulled? No, Thanatos is CC immune, so we will not be able to be pulled there. Is the pull global?
It's not global. It has a range. The range is, we're going to look at the range on PTS. We think it might be a little bit long. We might bring it in a little bit. So we're definitely looking to get a lot of testing going on this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting that in. Is she not a warrior? No, she is an assassin. Why is she not a warrior?
Why is she not a warrior? It just didn't fit the kit as we were building it. We definitely have on the table. I know people really want to see a female warrior. We definitely have one coming up sometime in the future. But Awilix is kind of a jungle assassin through and through.
That's awesome. What happens if Bastet jumps back? Can you pull her? Yeah, anyone that is in the air and not CC immune and they're within that range of the ultimate. And of course, if you guys are looking for actual specific numbers on that or details, tune into patch notes tomorrow covering all the tooltips and that kind of thing. You'll be able to just yank them right back into it if they back away. Like we were mentioning, characters that have long leaps, like Odin, obviously. One thing we're testing a lot is if Odin does his bird bomb combo, pops the shield and jumps, you'll yank him, which means he won't get the landing hit of the jump, which means the shield won't detonate automatically, and you lose the damage from the jump. And so she can just yank him right down out of it.
Now, fortunately, you'll still have the shield that'll absorb some of the damage you take. But yeah.
Let's see. Can she activate abilities while riding the Suku? No, she can't.
So, yeah, you can't use abilities. Kind of going in with us wanting to make it feel like a true mount, you can activate any actives that don't have a targeter. So you can't hog, but you can sprint, you can beads. Also, you're not dismounted when she takes CC.
Or if she's crippled, right?
Or if she's crippled, right? She'll stay on. And that's about us, again, trying to make it feel like a true mount versus just an ability that you're steering. Yeah.
Right. Very cool. Let's see. What happens with Ow in dragon form if ulted?
It's a really big... No, he's CC immune while he's up there as a dragon. So.
You can use beads while riding the Jaguar. You sure can. If you guys want to see the passive, you can tune in tomorrow. We'll be showing that off during the Patch Notes show as well. That'll be happening tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. We'll have timers up for you guys if you like that portion of it. It looks like we've got a pretty good slew of where do I buy expert writing? So So cute. Yeah, I think that it's definitely a fun, exciting thing. And if you guys were looking to actually play the character, the PTS will be up this weekend after the PTS gets launched, sometime this weekend, whether it's early or not, really depends. But I think it's something that you really, and if you want to see more, right, we have actually a page that we can show.
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring that up. I'll put it up in chat. That's something we've been working on for a while, actually. We've kind of been iterating on and making it better. So let us know what you think. If you have any feedback, there's going to be the Dev Insights that follows Dev Talk. I'll post that up in chat right here. So there you go. This gives you, apparently I'm high as Gavin right now, but this gives you kind of a full rundown, and it also includes written forms of Q&A with yourself and your design team, the art team, and also kind of just shows off the abilities in video form, really allows you to watch it. So anything else to add here?
No, I think it about covers it.
Go Cats. That's it. All right, guys, we're going to be closing out the show now. Coming up next is going to be the art show. And, of course, one last thing. Got the SMITE World Championship sweatshirt on right now. For those of you who are attending the event, legendary ticket holders will also be able to get this sweatshirt, plus much more. And, of course, if you don't know what the SMITE World Championship is, it's January 9th through January 11th, and it's coming up pretty fast. So definitely tune in for that. It'll be right here on this channel. With that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for watching Dev Talks. Be sure to head over to Dev Insights if you have any other questions about Awilix, or feel free to tweet either of us, and we'll get back to you when we can. And we'll be cutting to a brief break here as we head into the art show. We'll catch you later.